Okay, so guys, this is something I like to do each year where I look at the good, the bad, and the in between for Yu-Gi-Oh! And so we're doing it for 2020, but Obeliskblue13 is going to be joining me. And we're real excited to discuss with you how we feel the year for Yu-Gi-Oh! Has went. Now, we're actually going to start with the bad. I like to get the bad out of the way and then finish on a good note. So if we look at the bad, the first thing I felt that was the worst was that there was no in-person events.
I was actually really disappointed when I found out there weren't going to be any in-person events because coming out of college recently, I'm now starting to be able to afford
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh
to
cards
go.
more,
Yep.
and so now it's like, okay, now I can play these kind of meta decks, and my luck has been cool too. And I've
Yes.
pulled like pretty much a complete meta core in Eldritch, and it's like, man, I really wouldn't mind playing this at like a tournament, and then to have the whole world shut down, it's just been really
Yes.
unfortunate.
And it really does stink. So you talk about affording it. So one thing that I've done for the past 5 years with my son is, or both my sons now, is we created our own small local, and they have something known as a dragon duel. And all the kids that you see there were 18 kids that day. They all qualified and they love dueling, and they were super excited about the chance to go to a national, and the fact that it got canceled was absolutely heartbreaking. Because I got to take my sons 2 years ago, and we had so much fun. The excitement of seeing thousands of people all dueling together. Matthew getting a chance to meet Simo, this famous Yugi tuber. The giant card battles that we got to do for fun. And then he actually ended up placing the second day. All that was super memorable, and it just stinks that those kids don't get those opportunities now. And I also think about the duelists. If you're not even part of the Dragon Duels, if this was your one time you actually qualified for Nats and then you don't get it, oh, how frustrating must that feel? So
Yeah.
I think that that's a definite bummer for everybody that didn't get to do that. Now, I have been told, and correct me if I'm wrong, that people still get to have their invite even if they didn't go this past year. Is that correct?
That is correct. The invitationals for nationals this past year do roll over for next year, which is really good. The only thing is, with the way things are going, man, we know it's hard to tell when Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah,
in-person events are really
yeah.
going to come back.
And that does stink, and especially for the kiddos that I showed in the previous screen here, this was their last year for Dragon Duels, so they've already aged out. So that moves them automatically to the adult group. And Carlos, you know how different that's got to be for a kid. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
'cause
Yes, yes.
they don't
Like
have the money.
if you're a kid, you're working on a limited budget. You don't have an income. It's much different than a full adult who works a full time job and they can afford like all these meta cards, like triple tactics talent. It's
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
big step up.
yeah,
Mostly because it might not necessarily be a skill thing. And granted, definitely people who play longer definitely have an advantage,
yeah,
but it's more of a financial thing to me. Like older
yeah,
people can afford, older duelists in theory should be able to afford like better cards in comparison to kids. So it,
yeah.
it really does suck that they can't
They
play in the
won't have
Dragon
that
Duelist
experience,
bracket anymore.
yeah. Because I feel the Dragon Duels were much more comparable to their skill set at the time. So that really stinks that they didn't get to do that. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it is
oh,
something
sorry,
I
go
really
ahead.
do. Something I do want to say though is the Dragon Duel, because I was aware of Dragon Duels before you mentioned it. It is a concept that I really like that Konami does. I kind of wish that. Do you know what the age limit for it is currently? Is it
Yeah.
is it
So the age group for Dragon Duels is kids from the ages of 6 all the way to 13. So that's the age group there. It used to be to 12, but they bumped it because there's lots of people actually saying that it was just too hard for kids that are 13 to jump into the adult group. So, yeah,
Yeah, I totally feel like they could extend that even more. To be honest, I feel like even up
yeah,
to maybe 15. Now the
Yeah.
thing is necessarily like it isn't like I said, it isn't a skill thing per se. It's more of a life situation thing.
Yeah.
And so like really I don't mind this whole age bracket thing. Like I
I
think it's
think there
cool and
should be an age bracket. I think there should be a kid bracket, a teen bracket, and an adult bracket. I think
I
that's the
do
best way to go.
I do really like that idea. Teen like up to maybe like 14
Uh-huh.
or up to like 13 and then like maybe 14 to like 18
Yep.
you qualify for the teens, and then 18 plus you can start dueling in the adult
Yeah.
bracket. I think that'd be a really good idea. That's a way that they could give out multiple prizes to different people. That's a way people can kind of match like their skill set with like the situation they are financially.
Yeah.
And I really like that idea. That's something they should probably
Oh, I
consider.
I would love to see it happen, and I'd love to see some major Yugi tubers promote that idea. Moving on to the next spot here, key cards that need to be reprinted. Oh, does this need to happen? And I really like the choices you put up on the screen here, Carlos. Invocation. It's great that we got Alistair, and it's great that we got Makaba and all these other great cards, but we need invocation if it's going to work, and right now it's still high. Is it
Mhm.
around 20, $25? Is that right?
Yeah, it is. So, invocation. It was a secret rare, so it has a very weird reprint history. Invocation was originally a secret rare out of Fusion Enforcers, and it was
Right.
the short print of that set. It was roughly, I think, about $60 during its high,
Oh
which
yeah.
is obviously
Yeah.
really expensive for a card. They then next reprinted Invocation and Shadows of Valhalla as a super rare,
Mhm.
which at first really did drop the price. It dropped the price to like $5, but then people realized that the invocation in Shadows of Valhalla is actually also a short print. So even though it's a super rare, it's only about like one a box or maybe
Yeah.
one a case, and it's just really shorted. So it quickly jumped from 5 back up to about 2025, and then it got printed in Battles of Legend Armageddon, and people were like, finally a secret rare invocation. It's not going to be short printed, and surely enough, Konami shorted this one to the moon again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Which
it's
really stinks for
unfortunate.
those players who are wanting to get that card. That way they can play that game
Yes.
engine. Um
I think one of the most annoying things about that too is I think Invocation's a 3-year-old strategy.
mhm.
So it's like you guys had 3 years to give it a reasonable reprint. And like granted, it's great that you guys gave it a reprint, but like a reprint does nothing if it's still short printed.
Yeah.
We learned that with Infinite Impermanence. Like how many times did they have to reprint it
Yeah.
for it to just now go down in price because
Right.
they finally didn't short it in Gold
Well,
Series.
and they purposefully kept making it a chase card, which unfortunately doesn't help. Like you're saying, if you're going to reprint it, make it to where it's truly more accessible for everybody. I like that you put in evenly matched. I know that's had a few reprints, but it's not enough. It would have been great if they would have did what the OCG did. Because the OC wait, did the OCG put it in their Spirit Charmers deck?
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
OCG actually did put it in their Spirit Charmers deck. That's the main reason I put this on the list because this card, once again, it's about 3 years old. It came out of Circuit Break. This card should have completely already had a reprint. I mean, granted, it did have a reprint in I think it was Dual Power, but it was
Mm-hmm.
also a short print. And the fact that we were scheduled to get a common rarity of this, and literally every person would have had easy access to this, and then the fact that they slapped us in the face
Yeah.
and basically took it out for super rare Raigeki, which Raigeki had literally just gotten a
Right. We
reprint
just
in
got that in the
super rare.
Megatins in 2019. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like that's such a slap in the face. Like I get the fact that they wanted to sell other products, but they didn't even put it in other products.
Yeah.
Like if they put evenly matched in Gold Series, and it was like one of these other gold rares that was easy to get. Okay, I understand it's a scummy move, but at least it's we still got the reprint. The fact that they took it out of the Spirit Charm structure deck and then they proceeded to not even give us a reprint of it, that really sours the
Yeah.
taste.
No, no, that makes complete sense to me. I'm right there with you.
What I really want to talk about is Air Neos. Air Neos specifically because they gave Neos new support in Strike of Neos, or not Strike of Neos. They gave Neos new support in Savage Strike, and it was supposed to be like really awesome because we got a new fusion card that can make Elemental Hero Neos fusions really easy,
Mhm.
and the fact that they literally gave us a reprint of pretty much every Neos fusion except Air Neos is really really weird,
Yeah.
and this is one of the few cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that has never seen a reprint outside of its like original set. And
Wow.
this card desperately needs a reprint. They've literally thrown every single hero reprint at us that we don't need. Like this
Jeez.
this one needs a reprint badly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to talk about reprints more later too because that's something that we're kind of in between on. So, going to expensive cards though, you've got Nadir Servant at 80, Tactics Talent at 100. Lightning Storm I know is still very expensive. You've got Zeus. I mean, you've got all these cards that are very expensive. And this is where I think a lot of players get really frustrated because they see these top tier strategies and they can't afford the cards in real life. And I think that's a frustration point for some duelists. I would really like to see if I think the most expensive I'd like to see cards go for is around 20 to 25, unless it's a
Mhm,
chase card that's a high rarity. If that makes sense, like
mhm.
something like an
Starlight
ultimate
Rare.
rare or something. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely agree. Like the price of these cards are ridiculous. Like let's take Dogmatica Invoked as an example. If you're
Mm-hmm.
playing Dogmatica Invoked, you typically play 3 Nadir Servant. So that's $240 on just the
Jeez,
Nadir Servant.
that's
And
just
then if you wanted to
crazy.
play Triple Tactics Talent, that's another $300. So literally out of just two staple cards, you're looking at over $500 in value, which is ridiculous. Like
My gosh.
you shouldn't have to be paying $500, half a grand on just two staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. That is one of the reasons why people are absolutely not drawn to the game. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
if you want to make Yu-Gi-Oh a worldwide phenomenon like it was in the early 2000s, you have to make the cards more accessible for everyone.
Absolutely.
It's just the way it has to be. Like if you look at, I'm not trying to compare like different card games, but like if you look at Pokemon,
Mhm.
'cause I know it's not like a one for one comparison, but most of the Pokemon cards are like, yeah, there's some really expensive Pokemon cards, like the Charizards go for like over 300, but those are the chase cards, like the
Yeah.
absolute
Yeah.
creme de la creme. Like you shouldn't have just staples that you need to play if you want to win
Yeah.
to be that expensive.
And
It's
I've
crazy.
actually made a video on this, and guys, I'll have it in the description link. But that's one of the reason I've heard of people leaving the game is they typically move to a different game that's less expensive. So, for example, I know players that they'll play Magic because they have a rotation set, and they typically have a budget rotation in their rotation set, and it's just cheaper. And I've also heard similar things about Vanguard or even the Dragon Ball Super game. There's just lots of different players that move to different card games because Yu-Gi-Oh is just so much money sometimes if you're playing top tier strategies. So I agree with you, Carlos. Unfortunately, they still haven't got that point that they're making this too expensive at times. So that's a really great point. And then I think you also have the problem too of buyouts where players know the
Mhm.
card's going to be good, buy a bunch of it so no one can get it, and then they make a ton of money, which is fine. I get why they're doing that. It's a strategy. But it really stinks for players who, like you were just saying earlier, if you're a college student, you don't have a lot of money. I mean, when I was in college, I had very little money to do anything with. So to be able to, drop this kind of money like you're talking about, half a grand, I would not have had that money, there's no way.
Exactly. Um, and I don't like the something you did mention. You mentioned like rotation sets. I don't like the idea of rotation sets because keeping like being able to play every single card in the card pool besides the banned cards. That's what makes Yu-Gi-Oh unique and gives
Oh,
it
yeah.
its
Yeah.
identity. To
I
me,
agree.
we just need to have more accessible cards. Like
Yeah.
if you like, it's okay printing a card as a secret rare for a couple months and making people want to buy the set, but after like 3 months, man, you need to like reprint these things right away. We
Yeah.
can't wait a whole year till the
Yeah.
2021 Megaton or the
Yeah.
2022 Megaton
Well, and then the
for
cards lose
cards.
their position in the meta. I mean, I think that's the
Yeah,
big thing
exactly.
too. Yeah, because then the
Exactly.
power creep starts. Yes.
Mhm, and
Um,
it's like you have to it's basically you have to like by the time you finally get to buy the good cards from the previous year, you have to start investing on in the new cards that are expensive. For example, the Appaloosa just got reprinted
yeah.
in the 2020 Megatin slash
Yep.
the Gold Series, and Appaloosa is kind of fading out of the meta
It
for like cards
is.
like
And
Goose
yeah.
or Alpha, and it's like, man, I waited. Appaloosa was like $100 card. I waited like a whole year to finally get my hands on Appaloosa. Now
Yeah,
it's not
and it's
a
down to
good card anymore.
$5. Yeah. I mean, that's the reality, and that's the frustration with Yu-Gi-Oh! At times is it's just so crazy with how long we have to wait to get a decent reprint. And I do agree with you. I do like that there is no set rotation with Yu-Gi-Oh! I would not like that. I just know that when I've talked with players who have left the game, they have said cost was one of the biggest reasons. And that was some examples that they had actually given me, which I didn't even know Magic had done that until I researched it.
I
Um,
think also too,
yeah, go ahead.
like physically speaking, it'll be impossible for Yu-Gi-Oh to go to a set rotation because if you look at the price, I know we were going to talk about that a little bit later on, but like if you look at the price of some of these older sets, like Legend of Blue Eyes,
Yeah,
if they wanted to do from like Legend of Blue Eyes to like Invasion of Chaos and like make that the format, there's no way, unless you had those cards already, there's no way a new player getting into the game could
could
afford those
ever do
cards.
it. Yeah, because there's so much money. Yeah,
Exactly. Like,
yeah,
I really wish, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but man, I really wish that every now and then Konami would like go into the past and maybe reprint an old set, because to
yes,
me that
yes,
that would keep the game fresh, and you're getting new people every single year, right?
yeah,
That's one of the big gripes I have with Yu-Gi-Oh. You're getting new fans every single year. Some of these fans look in the past and they want to open up some of the old products. You know what I mean? They want to
yes,
feel this nostalgia. They want to chase old ghost rares. They want to chase old ultimate rares. The fact that they can't, or they want to open, the first set in Yu-Gi-Oh. The
yeah,
fact that they literally can't kind of sucks. Like I'm not saying like you have to like you obviously can't reprint it as a first edition, but reprint it as like an unlimited print.
yeah,
Keep the first edition like sacred. Keep that like so that investors can have their first edition kind of value, and the market could still have some kind of the market can still hold some old value. They just need to reprint old sets is what they need to do.
yeah. I completely agree with you. Because me personally, I would like to do goat format, and I have a lot of the cards, but not all of them. And some of the cards that are required for that are a little pricey. So there's definite things that I would like if they were to reprint these old box sets. And I know they've got the cards somehow because when they do these mystery boxes, they have some of those packs. So it just makes me wonder how much backlog do they actually have when it comes
I
to
think
this? It's
I
pretty
think
interesting
actually
to
those
think about.
mystery boxes are you're talking about like the Walmart mystery boxes and things like
Uh-huh.
those. Those are actually from a different company. I think the company that makes them is called MJ Holding Company,
Oh, you're
and they're
kidding
not
me.
actually they're not actually affiliated with Konami. So I'm not actually sure how much backlog Konami has of
Oh,
like old.
that's interesting. Wow. Okay, I thought
Yeah.
that was through Konami. Oh, wow. Okay.
My thing is, I
That,
want Konami to actually go and make more backlog so it could be cheaper.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is another good point here. Quality control. Woo. They've had some issues here with the last two main things that they released. You've got Maximum Gold, which lots of people had printing issues on the cards to where things just weren't printed right. And then I know in Genesis Impact, there wasn't the correct amount of rarities that were supposed to be in people's boxes, which is very frustrating if you buy a box and you're supposed to be guaranteed that amount of rarity and then you don't get it.
I actually
So
had
yeah,
that
that's
happen
an
to me.
issue. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Said I actually had that happen to me.
Oh
I
my
opened,
goodness.
I opened three boxes, and two of my boxes were missing an ultra rare.
Oh, and see, and that's your chase card. I mean that's
Exactly.
why you buy
And
the box.
Casey got a box where he was missing every ultra rare. He only got supers.
Oh, and see, and that's just crazy to me to think about. That's just way too much money being put out not to have it get returned properly. Because usually you can at least make your money back on a box, but if it's missing the key cards, you're not going to make your money back. And that's a problem for Yu-Gi-Oh players who are this heavily invested. So that is definitely a bad situation that needs to be fixed. That's ridiculous that that's been happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I was super mad. The only bright spot about my boxes missing an ultra rare is in one of the boxes I got a collector's rare, so it's like,
Oh, that's
you
good.
know,
Yeah.
I at least made back the value of some of my box or most of the box because it was a collector's rare. But
That's good.
the fact that
Yes.
I still felt like kind of like I was basically I got the short end of the stick.
Yeah. And at least you got the collector's rare because unfortunately there were several duelists that have mentioned they didn't even get their money back at all. And
Yeah.
that's not fun when you go negative. Um, you also have here that retro products are too expensive, which we did talk about. For those players who want to get in, it's just too much. And
Mhm.
right now, Yu-Gi-Oh cards are hot on the secondary market where through eBay or different sites where players can possibly purchase these sets because players have held on to them. They're really jumping up in price. I mean, you guys can see it here. $5,000+ for the Legend of Blue Eyes sealed booster box.
Crazy thing too is that that's an unlimited. If you're talking the first
Wow.
edition, which I'm not asking them to like re-release first edition, that would kill the value of the collector's
Right,
market.
right.
But like,
Absolutely.
but like a first edition is like $35,000, which is
Oh, that's crazy.
it's crazy to me.
Wow, absolutely nuts. So now we're going to move on to the in-between part of Yu-Gi-Oh in 2020. And we talked about this a little bit. Reprints. Now, don't get me wrong, there were some great reprints that we had. Like Lady Debug was getting up there for Salaman Great or Cyberverse players in general. This gives them a nice staple at a nice budget price. Elder Entity because of Dogmatica had jumped up, and then this brought it down. And then especially Borreload Savage Dragon, which was $100 card, it is all the way down to $5 to $6. So that's really good for players that were looking for something like that. And then there were others too. We got Dark Ruler No More reprinted. That was starting to jump up in price because the Megaton version was so good. And we got it in the structure deck recently. Nightmare Unicorns are real cheap. Borreload Sword Dragon Boral Sword Dragon is also nice and cheap now at around $5 or even less. I picked up one for $2 the other day, and it used to be like a $22 card. So in that way, it's been really good. But then we've also had some trash. So for example, Dodo Buster, Mech Lord Emperor Granul, the Manga Ryu Ran. I mean, no one really uses these cards. It's so I don't like when they print cards like these. It just doesn't make sense, especially when you look at when we were looking at the bad side of things. There's some desperate reprints we do need. So as good as some of these reprints were, we still had some reprints that were put in that we really didn't need. So Carlos, what are your thoughts on that?
I couldn't have put it better myself. They a lot of the times they waste. They only have a limited amount of reprint slots per set, right?
Yes.
Uh, like every year they release about four core booster sets, and those never have reprints except one of the Starlights. So we're not going to count that as a reprint set. They have like three reprint sets. They have a March reprint set, the Mega 10, and then they usually have one other reprint set, or the side sets have reprints. So they have limited slots where they could stick reprints in, and the fact that they sometimes waste it on absolute trash just makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Like for instance, Genesis Impactor, right? The latest set we were just talking about.
Right.
Um, they put in Book of the Law as a
Yeah.
rare,
Yeah.
and no invoked player plays Book of the Law.
Right.
It's like
Right.
that rare would have been much more suited for that rare would have been much more suited for invocation, and then that way you could have made invocation a collector's rare and had another like super top of the line chase card.
Yeah.
Instead, they just don't look out for the best interest of the player sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do. A lot of the times
Yeah,
they look
like
out
they
for the
did
money.
with these cards that I've got on the screen right now, like Lady Debug, Borreload Savage Dragon. those are great reprints that everyone is going to use. Nightmare Unicorn is a definite staple. Dark Ruler No More is also a staple in most decks, so that's good. But like you're saying, to have trash in there as well, let's get that out of there, Konami, because nobody's gonna play that. They're only going to be cards that people are going to try to sell off because no one's really using them. So let's do a better job. Um, the next part I'm in between on is the Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution for the Switch and the PlayStation 4. I don't understand why we're only getting one update. At least with the previous Legacy of Duelist game, you could actually buy additional content for $5. There has been one update, and with the announcement of two new games, I don't think we're going to get another update. Carlos, what do you think?
I agree. I think this game is dead and buried. They originally released it. They got their boost of sales, and then they well, actually, believe it or not, this game is technically just a repackage of the original Legacy of Duelist.
Oh, yes, very much
Yeah,
so. Yes.
because there's a game that released before this called Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist, and instead of releasing a new game to commemorate Link Monsters, they repackaged that game and added Link Monsters.
Yes.
They didn't add the whole card pool, which sucked, and then they finally added the cards up to, I believe, Savage Strike.
Yes.
And by the time they added the cards, it's like, okay, now we're like two sets ahead, and now we're behind.
Yeah, we're
And
way
it
behind. Yeah, I mean,
worked too slow.
yeah, it's too slow. And if you're playing that game, just like if you have the other games, it's like you're stuck in a time slot that is a very different time when it comes to modern Yu-Gi-Oh! We want a game that's regularly updated, and while I'm happy they did move it to Master Rule 5, it's just not enough. We need more content than what they're giving us. And if you're a player who's invested, it's frustrating that you know now, oh great, there's going to be another new game, so now they're not going to update this. And it's just frustrating because if you like how it plays on the Switch or the PlayStation 4, now you don't get the chance to know that there's more content on the way. It's disappointing. And Konami's got to get this right, like we talked about in our most recent podcast, when it comes to this game. um, the next area here that has been a disappointment, or somewhat disappointing, but also somewhat good, are remote duels. I'm definitely in between on this, and I want to explain why. Number one, I love the idea. Lots of players love using their actual cards, myself included. The remote duels that I've done with people have gone extremely well. They're fun. We have a good time. But then I've also heard of nightmare situations where players are taking their deck off screen. They do not get eliminated from the tournament, and it's known that they're purposefully cheating. Even though it's being reported, nobody's doing anything about it. That is a problem, and I cannot believe that it's not getting fixed better. Just because maybe this player is well known in that community. If you're cheating, it should be called out and it should be dealt with. And for people who are doing these remote duels, that is not fun. Also, the lag issue, your opponent's supposed to wait, and players are not waiting for their opponent to make sure that there's no in between response, and they're going through all their plays, and players are trying to do an eruption, and it's not happening. So I'm definitely in between on remote duels. Carlos, how do you feel about those?
Conceptually, I like the idea of being able to duel anyone from anywhere in the world. Some of the issues you brought up are issues that are definitely are real and concerning. One of the other issues I find is just the setup. Sometimes it's hard to set
Mm-hmm.
up,
Yes.
so that's unfortunate. And it could be clunky, having to show your hand through the computer screen without actually showing the cards in your
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
It's this would have been rectified if they had an online simulator already. Instead,
Yep.
they really didn't have the foresight, and I really don't understand why they don't, because Magic has an online simulator,
Yes.
Pokemon has an
Absolutely.
online simulator, even
Yes.
Hearthstone's like an exclusive online card game, and they're seeing so much success. Like there's literally a market to expand your card game and make improved real life sales too, and they don't seem to take it.
Yeah, which is really a missed opportunity here because I like that people wanted to try something like this, but you got to be consistent if you're a tournament organizer and you're doing this, because that's just frustration for both or for the player that's being the one who's being cheated of the match. It's very, very frustrating. But hopefully, we'll get past this pandemic season here soon. Now, that's it for the in between. Now we get to talk about all the good things that are going on in that have gone on in Yu-Gi-Oh for 2020, and there's a lot, which I'm very excited about. As crazy as the year's been, there's been a lot of good things. One thing in particular, wow, the Yu-Gi tubers and the content that they've created has been absolutely fantastic. The creativity of these Yu-Gi tubers is just wonderful. Me personally, I'm a huge SEMO fan. Shout outs to SEMO if you ever watch this. But I love the progression series and the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! It has been so fun to watch that. And it is now something I look forward to every single week. Monday's the progression series. I look forward to that every single Monday. And I believe the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is either Thursday or Friday. I know it's later in the week. But it's been fun for me because I actually get to see what Yu-Gi-Oh used to look like. And for me, I'm realizing, it's not as slow back then as I thought it was. There's actually quite a bit of speed if you're playing certain cards. And then there's other content creators. You've got Team Sam and Farfa, MBT, and we got to actually try some of these series ourselves here recently with the wheel, which was a ton of fun. So I like the content that's being created, and I also like some of the discussion videos that are happening now. Like Team Sam recently doing the 200,000 Yu-Gi-Oh box collection. That is a great video. If you guys haven't watched it, go check it out. It's super interesting. And then you've also got the story of the 11-year-old kid who won the U.S. Nationals. I never knew about this guy. I love learning that kind of information from the Yu-Gi-Oh community, and I think there's been tons of creativity that's come out of this pandemic season that's been very beneficial if you enjoy watching Yu-Gi-Oh online. Carlos, your thoughts?
I absolutely agree with everything you say. I also did want to give out to Nim Nim and his progression series.
Yes.
That marked a landmark in Yu-Gi-Oh YouTubing as well. The progression series, specifically the first season, because he hasn't released many episodes in the second season. The first season was epic, and then following that, Rev's cards. He released he kind of took the progression series, or not the progression series, the sealed only, and he kind of made his own spin on it, and improved it in many aspects. And his progression, or his sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh is absolutely amazing, and he's going on season 2 where he's trying to build a
Oh, that's awesome.
dogmatic deck all the way from scratch, and it's challenging, and
Oh, I bet.
it's definitely fun to watch, like the progression of the deck, because you feel like every time they get a pull, you kind of feel like you actually you pulled it yourself
Yeah,
in a
you're
weird
part of
way,
the process.
because
Yeah.
exactly, because you get to see, like, if they pull the card, it's a card you get to see them play every week, and it improves like the viewing quality of like the episode for you.
Yeah.
So you actually have like an investment, which to me is a little bit more exciting than just watching an opening video. Granted, I love opening videos,
Oh, me
but
too.
the sealed only kind of has that like personal one-on-one feel to it that other opening series really can't
Yeah.
duplicate. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to Nim Nim and Rev's cards for their sealed only
Yeah,
series.
and I didn't know who Nim Nim was until the progression series. So I really like that Simo does that. I feel like he's always trying to bring other people up with him. And I love that about the guy. I think he does such a great job with that. Something else that I've been also super excited about, and this is probably the most thankful thing that I feel like I've had this year with Yu-Gi-Oh, is the online dueling. I am so thankful that because when the pandemic first hit, we had to stop our locals, and my sons were very upset because they love to duel, especially my oldest. And I thought, well, what if we started an online community? And that has been so rewarding. And I love the friendships I've made, like meeting you, Carlos, has been wonderful. and just all these other duelists that I've got to know, and I've got to see all this hype dueling still actually happen. And I know that others have to feel the same way if they watch our tournaments, if they watch the luxury gaming tournaments, the pro play game tournaments. I think this season for online gaming for Yu-Gi-Oh has just jumped tremendously, and I think everyone's having a good time doing it. How do you feel, Carlos?
I just want to like honestly, that is probably one of the greatest things that came out of the pandemic for me because before that I hadn't really participated in real life tournaments too much, and at Purdue specifically, I didn't really have many people I played Yu-Gi-Oh with. It was just kind of me playing by myself, and I was trying to get my girlfriend into it,
Uh huh.
and courtesy of the pandemic, I found this online community, and it's been honestly one of the best parts of 2020 for me. Just being able to duel weekly, compete in some awesome tournaments. It's so awesome knowing that like maybe once a month, twice a month, I have a tournament where I can just sit back on Saturday and just enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh with some friends. Like that is honestly the best, and honestly probably my despite me having a great year of Yu-Gi-Oh with pools, that's probably the highlight of the year for me in
Oh,
terms of Yu-Gi-Oh.
well, that warms my heart, man. That's the whole purpose, was for people to have a environment where they'd have fun. And I'm very thankful that we've had so many people come join the ride. It's been great. Something else that I'm excited about is Konami was still supporting the community. At first, they didn't have a ban list really. They just unlimited things, and I honestly thought that was the right decision because no one was playing in person at that time. And if you had just dropped all this money on cards, it would have been very frustrated if they suddenly got banned. So, for example, Carlos, I know you pulled for Eldritch the Golden Lord. That would have been so frustrating if that card would have been limited in some way or semi-limited. I think that would have been frustrating. So I'm very thankful that they did not have an initial ban list, but as the year continued, we got to see that they were supporting the community. They were paying attention to the meta, and so we did receive a ban list in September where they hit Block Dragon, boo. But they also hit some other cards like Jet Synchron and Mecha Phantom Beast Lion. And then we had another ban list here in December, and both ban lists did do some pretty effective things. So I thought that was good to see them supporting the community in that way. Carlos, do you think that they did enough when they did that? How do you feel about the ban list that they've done so far?
I honestly agree. My thing is, like you said, you can't really get a gauge for the meta um, with there only being online tournaments because
Mm-hmm.
a real life meta is drastically different than an online meta
Absolutely.
because in online everyone has access to the same card pool,
Yep.
and it becomes kind of murky. So I definitely like that they've taken I like the first month where they didn't ban anything at all. I agreed because I don't think anything should have been banned,
Yeah.
seeing as literally people couldn't play with the cards for a good solid few months. The second one where they made limited bans. I feel like that's probably the good move. Ban the cards that you know definitely are degenerate and like absolutely hurting the
Yes.
experience for players, but keep the things that are just powerful
Yeah.
because you don't actually know what the actual meta is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel Konami's done a very nice job with that. Something else I'm pretty excited about is the return of Ghost Rares. I know both of you are excited, both you and I are excited. I love Ghost Rares, guys. This is probably my favorite kind of card is an actual Ghost Rare because I just think they look so awesome. And the fact that we're getting a dedicated set, yes, that is exciting. Carlos, I know you also love Ghost Rares. How pumped are you for this set?
And I could talk about Ghost Rears all day and this set all day long. Like when I found out they were bringing back the Wing Dragon of Ra Ghost Rare, honestly, the moment I heard that, I should have bought a case of battles, the Rage of Ra,
Uh-huh.
because man, I would have loved to pull this card. But much like you, Ghost Rares are my favorite rarity, so I'm really excited. And I already ordered a case from Ghosts from the past, so I'm physically, emotionally, and financially invested in this set. So for the love of God, Konami, please. I know you revealed 1 out of 5 of the Ghost Rares. It's Blue Eyes Alternative White
Yeah,
Dragon,
I
which is
cannot
actually
wait for that.
my girlfriend's favorite card. That's a good start.
Yeah.
Please, I'm asking you, for the love of God, release some good rarities, or
Yes.
release some good ghost rares. Dark Magician Girl would be amazing as a ghost rare. I
Yes.
think that card would
Yes.
be for $300 easy.
I agree.
Um,
I agree.
and then maybe release some ghost rares that are kind of like out of the out of left field. To me, a ghoster, some of the ghost rares I was thinking about. I know we already have a blue eyes ghost rare, a
Mhm.
dark magician ghost rare, or a red eyes ghost rare to match
Yeah.
the blue eyes we already
Yeah.
have would be cool. A dark arm dragon ghost rare to me would be awesome.
Ooh, I like that idea. So like staple cards that were in the anime.
In the
Yeah,
past,
I like that
also
idea.
a light and darkness dragon would look as a ghost
Oh,
rare.
yeah. Oh.
That would be a chef kiss moment right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I love that thinking. Awesome, awesome thinking. Um, Something else that is good this year, and for especially collectors, is the rarities now in the chase cards. You had the 10,000 dragon, you had the prismatic effect veiler, the difference with cyber dragon. I mean, there's lots of great chase cards that we've seen this year, which is going to help sell sets, which gives everyone something to go for. Because for me to have a good set, you need collectible cards that the collectors are going to want. This is definitely that. And then you need solid archetypes that players can get invested in and good reprints. So there were sets that had this, and it was exciting when they got pulled. I got to be at an event one time where one of the duelists pulled one, and the whole room like had this inhale of because we all knew what it was, and we all had like sleeves ready to give him so that he could put that in as fast as possible because we were so excited about this. Carlos, how are you when you did your amazing polls this year? How did you feel?
I can literally create like the situation for every single epic pool I've experienced this year. So to me, I've had 4 trademark moments, and if you don't mind, I'm gonna go over
You
each
go
one.
right ahead.
I had 4 trademark moments where I've absolutely had some amazing pulls. The first one, it started. I'm not sure if. Do you know if Secret Slayers was before or after Eternity Code? I think it was after.
I think it was after, yeah.
So the first epic pull was Eternity Code, and that's a Starlight Rare Effect Veiler.
Yeah.
So the story of that, and this story is crazy. I pre-ordered a box at one of my locals, and I pre-ordered the box. I went in the day before it came out, the set came out, or maybe the day the set came out. I called and asked if my box was there, and they said no. But when I went to the store, they had my box on the shelf, the one I pre-ordered, and I'm like, guys, what are you doing? That's my box.
Right, right.
And so I'm like, okay, no biggie, big mistake. Like it's fine. I bought the box that I pre-ordered. Um, Me and my girlfriend went home, and for some weird reason, this set, I started to like lift the cards up in like a weird way. Like I would lift up to check the border beforehand,
Uh-huh.
because I was like, oh yeah, this set has like starlight rares, and I've never done that for a set before. And it was the first time I did it, and sure enough, halfway through the first side of the box, I'm lifting it up, and I see a sparkle, and I look over to my girlfriend, and I'm like, oh my god, I think we pulled Starlight. And she like grabs my shoulder, and she's like, what? Let me see, let me see. And she's like trying to like lean over and see the card, and I'm like pushing her away. I'm like, don't touch it, don't touch it. And I lift it up. I was expecting it to be like one of the bad ones, like one of the Link monsters or Ghost
Uh-huh.
Mortar. Surely enough, it was the most expensive card in the set, the Starlight Rare
Wow.
Effect Veiler, and
Wow.
I was certain that that would be my my best pull. But surely enough, no
Uh-huh.
way. The next story is the Eldritch. So it was my birthday, and I'll never forget April 13th. Secret Slayers had come out a few days before. My girlfriend got me a box. I knew my girlfriend got me a box because that's what I asked for.
Uh-huh.
I told her to get it for me. So I opened the box of Secret Slayers, and I was hoping to get one Eldritch because it's short printed,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a three case. I got two. I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And so it was my 22nd birthday. And so later that day, we went to the store and we went to Walmart. So I got two more packs of Secret Slayers. I was trying to be cheeky. I was like, okay, 22, two extra packs. And I kid you not, I pulled another Eldritch
Oh
out of
my
those
goodness,
two
that's
packs.
just amazing.
And I literally pulled a playset of this card that was like $130, and I was flabbergasted. I was like, "There's no way this is happening to me." I was like, "The Starlight Effect Veiler. There's no way I'm gonna beat that pull." And surely enough, I beat it. And then a couple months later, I ended up selling one of the Eldritches
Yeah.
because if financially it made sense. And then
Oh,
I got
sure.
another
Lots of
box of
decks
Secret.
just run too. Yeah. So yeah.
I ended up getting another box of Secret Slayers, and I pulled a fourth one a
Yes.
couple down the line. So that was
Which
awesome.
is just
Um,
amazing.
yeah, just absolutely amazing. The next great pull was me and my girlfriend opened some blister packs from Meyer. We opened some Toon Chaos, and I pulled the collector's rare Immortal Phoenix Gearfree, which you can see me holding with the Starlight Rare Effect Veiler. So that was pretty
Wow.
cool. Cause so at a time I had a Starlight Rare Effect Veiler and a collector's rare Immortal Phoenix Gearfree, which was absolutely amazing. The last pull of the year to me, which was like the best pull, was that 10,000 dragon,
Uh-huh.
10,000 rare. The story of that was absolutely crazy. So I had gotten 4 boxes of Battles of Legend Armageddon because I was trying to hunt down
Yeah, trying to get one.
Invocation.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually trying to hunt down the Invocation,
Oh,
or
wow. Wow.
or the Utopia is what I wanted.
Okay.
And out of 4 boxes, I didn't get a single Invocation. I didn't get any.
Oh.
Like literally, my boxes were terrible. I recorded the openings, and I was like, "This is ridiculous. Like this isn't good content. I can't upload this." Um, Meanwhile, a few days later, we're at the store and we see some Battles of Legend Armageddon. At this point, like the set is like getting hyped, because of the 10,000
Uh-huh.
rarity, ten
Yeah,
thousand dragon.
yeah.
Um, I see like half. I see like half a shelf there, and I asked my girlfriend, I'm like, "Hey, do you think I should buy this out and just buy the rest and see if I can get an Invocation?" She's like, absolutely not. The set has been terrible to you." You know what? You're right. You're right. So we leave. We come back the next day, and there's only 3 packs. Um, I'm like, "Hey, do you want to get this for me? Just because there's only 3 packs. Like, can you get this for me?" And she was like, "Absolutely." As we're walking away, she notices that there's another pack jammed in the back, like hidden,
Uh-huh.
and she picks up the pack. And I kid you not, Chrono, that pack that was hidden, out of 4 loose blister packs, we are like almost 90% sure the pack that was hidden had the 10,000 rare. And so out of 4 loose blister packs from Meyer, I pulled a 10,000 dragon, and
Oh.
it was honestly the craziest pull of my life. And I sold it for $1,200, which was
Wow.
unfathomable to me. And the crazy thing is, like later on, I know we're gonna kind of talk about the giveaways here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Um, I thought like that'd be the most valuable card I'd come to own ever.
Yeah.
And then I won the Konami giveaway for the Guardian Angel
Yeah.
Jonah.
Yeah.
And that card is gonna be like there's
It'll
only
be
gonna be
huge.
300 of her
Yes.
printed.
I'm
Like
telling you.
I'm gonna own like the card's gonna be like $2,000 minimum.
Oh,
And the fact
wow.
that I won that competition for free, that's incredible.
Well, I'm telling you, so as you can see, 2020 has been very good to Carlos.
Oh yeah, 2020. Yu-Gi-Oh specifically, because like outside of Yu-Gi-Oh, it's been like meh because I missed graduation from college
Oh,
because of the
wow.
pandemic.
Yeah.
I missed a lot of like really special moments that I'm
Yeah.
never gonna live.
Yeah.
But Yu-Gi-Oh has definitely made me happy this
Well,
year.
I'm very happy to hear that. You had mentioned giveaways. And I am excited to see Konami doing this. They've actually been doing days of this where you just, if you're on Twitter, guys, you got to get on Twitter if you're not on Twitter, where you get on there and you just retweet somebody or you tag them in the link, and you have a chance to enter the giveaway. And like Carlos shared, he already won the Guardian Angel Joan. That's just or Joanne. That's just amazing. And then they've also had other things that they're giving away. I like seeing Konami being this interactive with the fan base because I think it's just going to bring in more players. What are your thoughts on that, Carlos?
I absolutely agree. I mean, they make thousands of actually they make millions of dollars off Yugioh. The
Yeah.
least they could do is do giveaways every now and then to keep the player base engaged. And you never know whose day or whose week or whose year even you're gonna change via the simple action and just
Yeah.
making someone's day because like they won something from the card game they love. Man, that feeling is like you can't replicate it. Like
No.
I was literally walking around the house for like 2 straight days, telling my girlfriend, "Oh my god, I can't believe I won this competition," and I'm still so pumped because like I'm super excited to get that package in the mail and just crack it open and
Yeah.
see the
Yeah.
like secret rare and the fact that they're giving me that opportunity is just amazing and I really like the giveaways.
Absolutely. And that gets more people talking, more people excited, and that's always going to be good for the game. Now, some other things that we've had are some absolutely fantastic Yu-Gi-Oh sets. There has been some really good ones this year. Secret Slayers for me, and guys, at some point we are going to do a ranking video of each set, so stay tuned for that. But Secret Slayers for me was one of the best sets of the year. You had Adamanticators, you had Eldritch the Golden Lord, and then you also had the key support for rocks that was also included in that set. That to me was a really, really good set.
Don't
Then you,
forget the Rikas.
oh,
Don't
yeah,
disrespect the Rikas.
yeah, yeah. Well, and people do like that.
I mean, the archetype looks cool
It
and
does look
the
cool.
gimmick
Some
is
people
cool,
like it, but
but
for me, the
like to be honest,
Adamantipator,
yes.
boy, was that a great build. Especially because you didn't need Researcher to still play the deck and have fun with it. So I was able to immediately purchase budget versions for both my son and I. We absolutely had a blast playing it with each other. It was very, very fun.
Yeah, I have I have a playset of the Eldritch from Secret Slayers because I knew it was getting a reprint, but like I told my girlfriend, the fact that two of the Eldritches were literally a present from her, they hold more sentimental value to me than they do monetary value. So I was
Absolutely.
not getting rid of those Eldritches, and in
Yeah,
fact, Eldritch because of that, Eldritch is one of my favorite cards of all time now, my favorite archetypes of all time
that's
and I
awesome.
actually have a playset of the Secret Slayers version, but I also have the version from the Gold Tin. I have a playset of that as well, or the
Yeah.
from the Gold series rather.
Well, and when we talked about good sets earlier in the podcast here, I really feel that Secret Slayers had it all. You had your chase cards
Hmm.
for collectors, you had two really solid archetypes, and then you had some decent reprints. That to me is the right kind of set. Maximum
Absolutely.
Gold had a lot of good reprints in it. It had the collector stuff that people wanted. Didn't have any new archetypes, but that's fine because that's usually how Maximum Gold is. But I thought that was a really good box. Same thing with some of these other sets that we've had this year. There have been some really good ones that players could look forward to and really enjoy. So that was a definite bright spot for the Yu-Gi-Oh community. Now, something else that I'm pretty excited about too is V-Rain, sorry, coming to the United States. I have been watching the dubs, or not the dubs, the subtitles versions online with my kids, and I'm very happy that there is a dubbed version now. So I think that's a
The one of the
definite bright
cool things
spot.
too
Oh, say it again.
is I said the cool thing too is that the dub is completely it's on a streaming service that is 100% free. Like you
Yes.
don't even have to put in your credit card. All you have to do is sign up Make an account, and you can literally watch Pluto TV for free, which is the streaming service that it's on.
Yeah.
And they have a dedicated Yu-Gi-Oh channel that plays Yu-Gi-Oh 24/7, like
Wow.
literally nonstop Yu-Gi-Oh.
And that is absolutely awesome. Love it. Love it. Something else that I think was wonderful for the game was Master Rule 5. At first, I was worried because I didn't understand it completely. Now that I understand how it works, how it goes back to a lot of decks being able to, if you're synchro, Xyz, or fusion based, that you can use any zone. Finally, you didn't have to stay locked into Link, or into links, and I think that was so the right move for the game, that we've gone back in this way. Because I do think that pendulums being restricted to the extra deck is fine. Links, of course, working just how they always have. And what it's done is it's brought balance back to the game to where before I felt like you had to play links for the most part. And now that's not the case. You can actually play some other archetypes because the tournaments I've actually gone to, a few that I've gone to, there's times where I've been able to, I don't even worry about the links because they're not playing them. It doesn't fit their deck. So it's been really fun to have that opportunity to have the game return to something that I think is better. Carlos, your thoughts?
Um, yeah, I agree. I mean, Master Rule 5 was probably it definitely needed to happen, mostly because a lot of the older decks just couldn't
Yep.
couldn't fundamentally function how they wanted to, and they needed a way to basically get back to that old kind of the old root of what they were. And so, like, I know they needed a way to to balance the pendulum archetype, and link monsters were the reason that they needed it. Like they were basically the way to balance pendulum monsters.
Uh-huh.
But the fact that you essentially ended up punishing everyone because of like the sins of pendulums,
Right.
I just didn't agree with that.
Absolutely. Xyz monsters, and fusion based decks, yeah, all these ones we have on the screen here. If the whole strategy revolved around having multiple Xyz monsters on the field, well, you had to find a different way to make it happen with links, which slowed down those decks. Which at first I thought was a good thing because I thought the game was going to play slower, but then links went turbo really fast. And then returning it back to how it is now, it just makes complete sense. So I'm very happy that they did that. And then the final thing that we think is good here for Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2020 is the announcement of 2 new games. We have the Rush Duels, which is going to be all about rush dueling. So that's going to be good for players that are going to be interested in that because we know Sevens is coming. And then we've got the second one here, which is going to be the simulator, or we're assuming it might be a simulator. It may not be. It could just be another game in general, but we're really hoping that Konami gets this game right so that we don't have that situation we had with Legacy of the Duelist that we mentioned earlier. And Carlos and I had talked about that in a previous video, which I'll also have in the description so you guys can see how we feel about that. But guys, that is going to do it for how we feel about Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2020. That's the good, the bad, and the in-between. Thank you guys so much if you made it to the end of the video. If you did happen to like this video, please hit that like button. We hope you guys have a happy new year, and we'll see you guys next time.
I wait for your next challenge. I know that you'll be back.